Welcome, seekers of history. Today we finally uncover the hidden truth behind Egypt's final queen. For countless centuries, ancient Roman myths painted her as a wicked seductress of truly mighty men. Could a brilliant mind like Julius Caesar truly lose his grand empire for a mere woman's charm? What if her true, hidden weapon was an intellect that deeply terrified the mighty Roman Senate? Today, we completely strip away the vicious lies to reveal the grand genius of the final pharaoh. To truly understand the grand deception, we must first examine the dark myth crafted by ancient Rome. Popular culture portrays her as a stunning beauty, lounging gracefully upon majestic gilded thrones. Ancient legends say she bathed in ass's milk and wore exotic perfumes to bewitch her noble royal guests. According to this deeply false narrative, her empire was ruled from the comfort of a velvet bed. She was long depicted as a truly dangerous temptress, preying on the weak desires of mighty men. Julius Caesar, Rome's greatest martial general, fell instantly under her dark, wicked spell. The myth claims she smuggled herself inside a beautiful carpet merely to seduce the dictator. Blinded by sudden, overwhelming lust, Caesar supposedly forgot his duties and left his troops. He fought a bitter civil war in Egypt, risking his own precious life merely to secure her throne. Bitter Roman writers framed her as a foreign witch who corrupted the pure soul of their republic. They whispered that her lavish banquets were perfectly designed to drown Roman virtue in sweet wine. This wild, exotic fantasy reduced a truly powerful monarch to an object of male desire. The slander grew even worse when Mark Antony arrived in the grand city of Alexandria. Antony was a seasoned and highly rugged warrior, yet he melted at her very first command. The story goes that he threw away his honor, his loyal wife, and his entire mighty army. All this sacrifice, just to spend his days drinking heavily beside the enchanting river Nile. In the eyes of angry Roman citizens, she was the ultimate villain, destroying their world. They deeply feared she would move the capital from sacred Rome to her decadent Egyptian palace. Poetry and plays repeated these brutal lies, engraving the false image into public minds. Classic Western art continued the tradition, painting her as a tragic victim of her own deep lust. Even Shakespeare and Grand Hollywood amplified this toxic drama for modern global audiences. We are taught to remember her dramatic final end, but rarely her magnificent, stable reign. The enduring tale of the ultimate seductress is truly captivating, thrilling, and romantic. It perfectly satisfies our endless hunger for scandalous gossip involving the wealthy and strong. Yet beneath this theatrical illusion lies a much darker and profoundly political plot. The men who wrote these ancient histories were her mortal enemies, terrified of her vast wealth. They deliberately erased her brilliant mind to justify their brutal, sweeping war against her realm. A mortal woman holding absolute power was unnatural and terrifying to the Senate. Therefore, she had to be reduced to a wicked harlot who used dark magic to steal their men. But what truly happens when we look past the propaganda and examine the real ancient history? Let us pause and apply pure logic to this deeply flawed and highly romanticized narrative. Could a brilliant military genius like Julius Caesar be so easily manipulated? Caesar was a ruthless 52-year-old dictator who had conquered the entire Western world. He was known for his cold, calculating mind and his absolute lack of romantic sentiment. Every decision he ever made was strictly designed to increase his own political might. It is absurd to think he would risk his legacy and life for a moment of physical pleasure. Furthermore, historical evidence proves she was not the flawless beauty seen in modern films. Ancient coins minted during her reign show a woman with a strong jaw and a prominent, sharp nose. The renowned Greek historian Plutarch wrote that her physical beauty was actually quite average. He noted that looking at her face would never instantly captivate or paralyze a normal man. So, if she lacked the legendary beauty of a goddess, what truly captivated mighty Caesar? The answer lies in the immense strategic value of the glorious and wealthy Egyptian realm. At that specific time, the mighty Roman Republic was drowning in massive, crippling war debts. Egypt, on the other hand, was the wealthiest and most productive kingdom in the ancient world. The fertile banks of the Nile River produced enough grain to feed the entire hungry Roman mob. Whoever controlled the vast wealth of Alexandria essentially controlled the fate of Rome itself. Mighty Caesar desperately needed her endless gold to fund his ambitious military campaigns. In return, the young queen desperately needed his powerful legions to secure her unstable throne. Their infamous affair was actually a brilliant, cold-blooded, and mutually useful pact. She generously offered him the vital financial resources he needed to become the master of Rome. He provided the brutal military muscle she required to crush her rebellious younger brother. This was not a fairy tale romance. It was a high-stakes geopolitical alliance of titans. When Caesar brought her to Rome, he housed her in his private villa across the mighty Tiber River. He did not do this out of blind love, but to flaunt his absolute control over Egypt's enormous wealth. The conservative Roman senators watched in pure horror as this foreign queen walked their sacred streets. They were deeply, profoundly intimidated by her royal confidence and undeniable presence. Unlike Roman women, who were expected to remain silent, she engaged in complex state affairs. She hosted brilliant scholars, discussed philosophy, and displayed a truly terrifying level of wit. The legendary orator Cicero openly admitted his intense, burning hatred for the proud queen. He despised her not because she was a temptress, but because she was a highly capable rival. She treated the proud Roman politicians not as her masters, but as her absolute intellectual equals. If you stood in the Roman Senate, would you truly fear a beautiful woman or a brilliant monarch? This profound fear of her competence planted the dark seeds of the malicious seductress fantasy. They could not accept that a foreign woman was outsmarting the greatest men of their proud republic. The sudden, violent demise of Caesar shattered their pact, forcing her to find a new path to survive. The true historical records reveal a remarkable monarch with an exceptionally brilliant mind. She was a deeply, highly educated scholar, mastering math, astronomy, and complex rhetoric. She spent countless hours studying ancient texts inside the Great Library of Alexandria. For 300 long years, her royal Greek ancestors ruled Egypt without learning the local tongue. They hid safely in grand palaces, speaking only Greek, completely ignoring the native population. But she bravely broke this arrogant tradition and mastered the Egyptian language perfectly. She could finally speak directly to her people, earning their unyielding loyalty and devotion. Ancient historical texts confirm she was fluent in at least 8 other complex foreign languages. She personally and boldly negotiated with mighty Ethiopian, Hebrew, and Syrian kings. She truly never needed an interpreter, allowing her to completely dominate diplomacy. This rare ability allowed her to understand the profound cultural soul of her vast kingdom. According to reliable ancient records, her voice was like a well-tuned musical instrument. She could charm foreign ambassadors with her immense knowledge of philosophy and complex laws. The brilliant sovereign queen also possessed an incredible grasp of international economics. Her father had left the wealthy Egyptian state drowning in heavy debt to the Roman Senate. Within a few short years of her rule, she completely stabilized the failing national currency. She aggressively expanded foreign trade routes, transforming the port of Grand Alexandria.
We need more laborers over here.
Under her direct command, the mighty Egyptian fleet dominated the Mediterranean Sea. Her kingdom became the main supplier of precious grain to the entire Roman population.
To the ship. Keep it moving. Don't slow down.
This truly immense wealth gave her ultimate leverage over the ambitious Roman generals. When Julius Caesar met his tragic fate, she rapidly aligned herself with Mark Antony. Much like her previous grand affair, this was a highly calculated political alliance. Antony required her truly vast financial resources to wage fierce war against his bitter rivals. In exchange, she demanded absolute protection from the growing threat of the Roman army. She skillfully used their grand military ambition to solidify her own imperial borders. They were equal partners in a dangerous game, sharing troops, immense wealth, and strategic goals. She boldly convinced Antony to publicly declare her beloved son as Caesar's rightful heir. This bold move directly challenged the vast authority of the young and ruthless Octavian. Octavian, the adopted son of Caesar, knew she was the greatest threat to his rising power. He could not simply declare a civil war against his fellow Roman citizen, Mark Antony. So, the calculating Octavian launched the greatest smear campaign in all human history. He illegally seized Antony's private will from the sacred temple of the Vestal Virgins. He read the forged document to the Senate, claiming Antony planned to give Rome to the Queen. Modern scholars now strongly suspect that this outrageous will was entirely fabricated. Octavian declared a holy war against the foreign queen, uniting all of angry Rome. He expertly painted her as a power-hungry witch who used dark spells to enslave their hero. To further this dark narrative, he minted millions of silver coins, featuring ugly insults. These dark propaganda tools circulated fast, poisoning the minds of normal Roman citizens. He successfully transformed a bitter political conflict into a morally righteous crusade. The final, devastating clash occurred at the monumental naval battle of Actium in Greece. Octavian's disciplined and highly organized fleet trapped the massive Egyptian naval forces. Facing absolute destruction, Cleopatra made a brilliant tactical decision to retreat. She bravely broke through the enemy lines and successfully preserved the core of her grand treasury. But the fierce battle was firmly lost, and Antony's entire grand land army quickly surrendered. Just imagine standing on that burning ship, watching your entire majestic empire collapse. Would you surrender to your arrogant enemy, or would you choose a dignified, royal end? Octavian marched triumphantly into the beautiful coastal city of Alexandria. He intended to capture the defeated queen and loudly parade her in golden chains through Rome. This tragic public humiliation would officially mark the brutal end of her long dynasty. But Cleopatra, demonstrating her legendary fierce pride, denied him that final victory. According to ancient tradition, she dressed in her most magnificent, sacred royal robes. She held a venomous asp to her chest, choosing a final escape over horrific enslavement. Her tragic, self-determined departure cemented her status as an immortal, legendary ruler. Even in death, she maintained total, absolute control over her own historical narrative. Octavian was absolutely furious, but he could do nothing but respect her final wish. He gently buried her alongside Mark Antony, officially ending the great Hellenistic era. With Egypt conquered, Octavian returned to Rome, bringing unimaginable, stolen wealth. He used her vast treasury to pay his soldiers and buy the absolute loyalty of the Senate. Octavian then changed his name to Augustus, becoming the first supreme emperor of Rome. The great Roman Empire was essentially built upon the golden ashes of her fallen kingdom. But the victor writes the history books, and Augustus ensured her true legacy was erased. For 2,000 long years, the world blindly believed the hateful propaganda of her conquerors. Only now, through incredibly careful archaeology, are we finally uncovering the brilliant truth. Cleopatra was never a helpless victim of lust, nor a wicked, calculating harlot. She was a brilliant leader who used her magnificent intellect to fight for her people. She stood entirely alone against the greatest, most ruthless military machine ever built. Her tragic defeat does not diminish her profound brilliance or her fierce, undeniable courage. Was Cleopatra a tragic victim of Roman propaganda or a brilliant queen who sadly lost? Share your profound thoughts in the comments below. Did history judge this powerful ruler fairly? If you loved this grand journey, please like, share this video, and subscribe to our channel for more history.